Well, Ukraine is striking a defiant note, even as Russian forces bear down on its eastern region. Ukrainian authorities deny claims that Severodonetsk has been cut off. That's despite reports that all bridges into the city have been destroyed. The mayor says communication channels remain open, but it is complicated. His remarks come after the local governor dashed hopes of delivering aid or evacuating civilians from the area. The third bridge to be shelled was said to be a final link between Severodonetsk and neighboring Lysychansk, one of the last areas in the region in Ukrainian hands. About 30% of Severodonetsk lies outside Russian control. The Azot chemical plant has become a key point of resistance, where more than 500 civilians are said to be trapped, including 40 children. The regional governor says Russian forces are firing at the plant, hindering evacuation efforts. He says it's difficult to support civilians, but that some reserves remain in the plant. Elsewhere, Moscow says its missiles have struck an artillery depot in Ukraine's northern region of Chernihiv. The Kremlin says its air defenses have also shot down a Ukrainian fighter jet and helicopter. The target attacks come as Kyiv continues its pleas for more advanced weapons from the West. More on this, David Biller joins us live from Lviv. David, the third and final bridge in Severodonetsk has been destroyed. Of course, the mayor is still saying that that city has not been cut off. Even so, how big of a blow is this to Ukrainian defenses?
So Severodonetsk's three bridges to the neighboring city of Lysychansk have now been destroyed. The two had previously been destroyed, and the third, which was older, more decrepit, had been heavily shelled in recent days, and now that one's gone too. It was already extremely dangerous to cross into Lysychansk on that bridge, but still its destruction leaves the city increasingly isolated. Now, the city is also getting relentlessly shelled with heavy artillery, and there are intense street battles going on. That means the governor said, he told my colleagues at the AP that it is impossible to evacuate people right now. There are something like 10,000 people in the city still. That's down from a pre-war population of more than 100,000, but still a lot of people, many of whom are in shelters, but they can't leave. Now, the governor said Russia now controls 80% of the city. A few days ago, he said 70%. So the Ukrainian forces are now being pushed to the industrial outskirts, and he did want to stress that the city has not been blockaded yet. That is not true. He said that they have what he called constant contact, and they are able to evacuate their wounded, but it is a very difficult situation, and he declined to come and elaborate on how exactly they're getting people out.
All right. You talk of thousands in Severodonetsk, but within the Azot chemical plant, you've got some 500 civilians. Are we seeing the city on its way to becoming the next Mariupol?
The Azot chemical plant is certainly reminiscent of the Azovstal steel plant in Mariupol, that scenario we saw earlier this year, that last stand in Mariupol. And it really is a concerning situation. The governor of Luhansk was making that comparison a few days ago with some distinctions. He did mention, again, the city has not yet been fully encircled, so there is some possibility still for evacuation. Another key difference is that the shelters underneath the chemical plant are not as strong as those at the Mariupol steel plant. Now, that's important because there are more or less 550 civilians inside, including 40 children. The self-proclaimed Luhansk People's Republic said there are also hundreds of Ukrainian soldiers. If that number is more or less correct, that would mean significantly fewer than at the Azovstal plant in Mariupol, where there were 2,400 soldiers, more or less. Now, the governor previously said that evacuation of civilians was going to require security guarantees. The military administrator for the city, he said today that there are preparations underway, but it's still not possible. And he said, the province's governor, he said that the plant continues to get shelled and was targeted by a strike today.
And thanks for that report from what's happening on the ground. David Biller in Lviv.